Possible for the screen boxes. So when maybe I'm not on your big screen anymore.
Hey, Brandon and Gabriel, I have a quick question.
Sure.
How do you all normally use your video and audio? Do you normally mute, or how does that work? Especially with active speaker view.
Well, I'll be
yeah.
mute. we'll probably be mute unless there's a deaf participant who decides to come on camera and ask a question. But other than that, we'll both be muted.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was just curious. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hi there, Paul. How are you?
Hello, good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
You too. Hope it's all right. I'll be folding some kids' laundry during our meeting.
That's the world we're living in. I get it. No
Baby
problem.
Shark.
Oh, I love it. Are you guys singing that? Is it burned into your memory for all time?
Oh, yes. It's so easy to change the lyrics to things that are fun and funny.
Mm-hmm. Hi there, April. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. So good to see you.
Good to see you too. I figured out how to get my background working, so I feel like I'm ready.
You look great. You look great with that background.
Thank you.
Or without it, but yeah, here we
And
are.
I look behind me. Thank you. It is, but yeah, yeah.
That looks so nice. I just want to say it's so exciting to see branding as somebody's backdrop.
Yeah, right?
It's so exciting.
Mm-hmm. So as we're waiting here, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Brandon Heaps and Gabriel Vangelis, who are providing ASL translation for us this evening. So in our effort to keep our commitments, we are getting American Sign Language on board. Hi, Joe. Good to see you.
Good to be with you.
All right. I would like to call this meeting to order. The Washington State Redistricting Commission. I'm Sarah Augustine, Chair. And I'm going to begin this meeting, as I do at every meeting, reiterating our mandate. So the mandate of our commission that is set out in Washington State Redistricting Act is to accomplish state legislative and congressional redistricting in accordance with the Washington State Constitution. The bipartisan commission was created to listen to the public every 10 years so that the districts would be drawn by statute and with public input. As chair of the commission, I will articulate and manage the commission process. In my role as chair, I will ensure the process is participatory, fair, and as equitable as possible. The 4 voting commissioners have power and responsibility to vote, ultimately creating and adopting a redistricting plan. Voting commissioners will make decisions that will create maps that best represent the interests of all Washingtonians. Those of you from the public joining us tonight, welcome. It is my goal to engage communities across Washington as fully as I can and to hear and address your concerns and requests. We will deliberate on the issues where we have jurisdiction. Where we don't, I will do my best to refer you to those who may be able to respond more effectively. I would also like to now begin by reviewing our purpose and values. Together as a commission, we have agreed to the following values and mission: to provide an open, transparent, credible process that is grounded in statute and where all voices are welcome and there is access for everyone. To conduct ourselves with transparency, respect, and civility, where commissioners will participate and negotiate in good faith. And finally, to meet the deadline outlined by law and to produce the best possible maps. I would now like to review public input since our last meeting. Our last meeting was held on April 26th, 2021, and this is what I've heard since then. A member of the public asked what a dyad was, and maybe I should take a moment to explain that a dyad refers to 2 voting members of the commission. In the context of the public outreach plan, bipartisan dyads will be made up of 2 commissioners, one appointed by a Republican caucus and one appointed by a Democrat caucus. The mayor of Renton, Armando Pavone, wrote to commissioners noting that despite being the 8th largest city in the state, the city of Renton is divided across 6 legislative districts. The mayor asked commissioners to give serious consideration to making the city the focal point of a future legislative district, given its population, employment, and diversity. One member of the public asked commissioners to ensure that Yakima be given a voice that would reflect the agricultural nature of its milieu. One member of the public suggested that commissioners consider school districts when drawing maps. This member of the public also had a suggestion about the order in which commissioners should draw the 3rd, 6th, 4th, 7th, and 9th legislative districts. There was a question about relocating residents in involuntary detention to their latest known addresses and when that data will be ready and publicly available. Finally, the Secretary of State's office referred a question about the source of data from maps published in the Seattle Times related to legislative districts that needed to be adjusted given changes to the population in the last 10 years. The Redistricting Commission was able to identify OFM population estimates, that's the Office of Financial Management, as posted on the Secretary of State's website as the source of that data. Thank you for your comments, questions, and suggestions. We are doing our best to respond to our inquiries as we receive them. I would now like to call roll. Commissioner Sims.
Present.
Commissioner Fain.
Present.
Commissioner Walkinshaw. Commissioner Graves.
Present.
Welcome. It's good to see each of you. Okay, well, as always, I will call on you for comment of our discussion items this evening in order. And the order that I would like to begin with tonight is Commissioner Fain, Commissioner Sims, and Commissioner Graves. So that's our beginning order, and then we'll rotate throughout the meeting as we often do. So I'd like to begin our meeting this evening with the approval of the minutes from our meeting on April 26, 2021. So is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Terrific. All in favor?
Aye.
So let the minutes reflect, none are opposed, so the motion passes. I would now like to invite our Executive Director, Lisa Mclean, to give her ED update.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Happy Monday. I hope you all are having a good day. So I'm here today. Most of the discussion today is going to be about things that are on my ED report. So I think I'll leave them off until we get to that section. But the other things I have to tell you are that we have here, Daniel Palthorpe has joined us. He's the sixth member of our team. He started work on May 3rd as the public outreach coordinator. And he got right into working with Maria Garza on the stakeholder list, which we will talk about a little bit later. So we're happy to have him on board. And it means that that communications and outreach team is what we consider to be complete now. And we can concentrate on filling the GIS team, which we can talk about more also later. Then I just wanted to make sure that you all know, because I've been a little bit concerned about the comment at redistricting.wa.gov box. So that box, before I started, all of the emails that were coming into that were getting forwarded to you all. And I wanted you to know that it's now being forwarded to you all and to the commission staff, and that we will answer any questions that require an answer. If you want to answer as well, that's fine, but I want you to know that they are being answered if they require an answer. And the other thing I should tell you is that now, as of today, there's also an automatic reply that says, thank you for emailing the commission. Your email has been sent to the commissioners and commission staff. Should your email require a reply, you will hear from us shortly. So I think that kind of, if anybody has any other ideas about what we should do with that, but I just kind of didn't want people to think they were emailing into a black box. Okay, so that's that. Then one of the commissioners I heard was asking about what we're doing about at Senate Bill 5287, the new law that requires the redistricting commission to locate those in adult detention facilities, juvenile detention centers, and mental health facilities involuntarily back to their last known address. Tom, Jensen, and I have been working on that. We located the files. They were, as per law, sent to the Secretary of State's office as of July 1. Per law, it was to go to the Redistricting Commission, but since we didn't exist, it went to Secretary of State's office. So we have those files now. We've studied those files. There's some information missing, but I was also able through the governor's office to get the contact names of the people who had sent those lists to us. And so actually after this meeting, one of the priorities we have for this week is to basically look to see, given privacy concerns, if we can fill in some of that missing data and the like. So that's where we are. We think that it's about approximately 18,000 addresses that we're talking about relocating.
So Lisa, I want to stop you there and just ask, Lisa has shared about two items. And before you go on, Lisa, I just want to ask the commissioners if you have questions or comments for Lisa input. All right, so please continue, Lisa.
So actually, I'm almost finished because last but not least, I wanted to tell you with great frustration that the day I started, I was told that the laptops that we had ordered would be here at the end of April or the end of May. I thought that was kind of an odd timing, that it was sort of a month apart. Then later on, as I got my feet underneath the desk, I was told that they were going to get here by the end of June. So then I started to press because I'd really like to pay for these while we have this whole bunch of money. And I found out on Friday that Lenovo in China has said that they will ship from China at the end of July. So my last email this morning was, any other options you'd like to suggest to us? So I'm sorry about that. I think we all are aware of the global chip shortage. It's causing a big problem. I'm sort of wondering whether or not we continue to order these or continue to borrow from the legislature. But in any case, we are on top of the issue of getting laptops, but it doesn't look like we're going to get them anytime soon. So the other issues that I'd like to talk to you about are mapping tools, website, and public outreach, and those are all discussion items. So I think that ends my report.
Thank you, Lisa. And we look forward to hearing your comments during the discussion as well. Just for kicks, anybody want to voice frustration or comments, questions about our laptops at this point? Commissioner Fain.
Oh, I did not mean to unmute myself, but I figure there was 100 years of redistricting with pen and paper, so we'll find a way to manage.
Okay, great. Commissioner Sims, would you like to comment?
I just appreciate your tracking down an answer to the question, Lisa, and look forward to hearing if you are able to identify any other options or solutions. Unlike Commissioner Fain, I'd rather not do this with pen and paper.
Yeah, Commissioner Graves, any comments? Nope. Okay, so I do want to say that I appreciate your patience. Thank you, commissioners, for hanging in there. This has been a very unique redistricting season. I'm sure every single commission faces unique aspects, at the time period when those commissions are encountering redistricting. And so I do want to say it feels like ours has been especially interesting. So we've faced quite a lot of hurdles redistricting during international pandemic. So thank you for your patience and your willingness to step forward regardless of obstacles that we face. All right. What I'd like to do now is move into this discussion portion of our agenda. And I'd like to begin with the mapping tool. Let's see, actually, why don't we hold off on that one till the end? So my goal was to introduce Tom Jensen, our consultant. I don't think he's on the call or on our Zoom meeting, however, so let's wait and begin with the website instead. As you know, we sent you a link to the In Progress website last week, and I would like to hear your comments, questions, and input about that. Danielle from August Creative is here to answer your questions if needed. So why don't we begin with Commissioner Sims? And do you have comments, input, feedback, Commissioner Sims?
I think the website looks great. It seems like it's got a really user-friendly interface. I love the Draw Your Washington and the messaging around that. So I think it looks really great. I think there are just a couple of things that I would note, but I'm happy to just send in an email and provide that feedback. I don't know that, we have to take up too much time in this meeting for some of the small feedback things that I had. But overall, I think the website looks great. I'm excited.
Thank you, Commissioner Sims. Commissioner Graves.
No, I think it looks great. I don't have anything in particular in addition to what we talked about at the last meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Fain.
Agreed. Looks very good.
Thank you. All right, terrific. Let's move on to our public outreach plan. So last week we sent you the public outreach schedule for May and June. And this is also included in the packet of materials available with tonight's agenda. So as you see, meetings are scheduled by legislative district. I'm sorry, by congressional district, excuse me. On Mondays from 7 to 9 and on Saturdays from 10 to 12 and or from 1 to 3. And so I wonder if you have additional comments, questions about the public outreach schedule. We do have a couple of items about the outreach plan, but I wanted to begin with the schedule. Let's see, Commissioner Graves.
Oh, I think this schedule, I think we've gone through it. as several iterations. And I think that as we have a proposed now, it looks manageable to me, and I think we should go forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Fain.
Yeah, agreed. I think we've had good conversations about the schedule. I'm glad we've landed on something and have some dates out there. So looking forward to the public outreach.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Sims.
Agree. It looks like this captures what we've discussed at previous meetings. I'm excited that we're going to start getting some meetings scheduled. I think my question around the outreach is, how do we has there been a conversation about how these meetings will be structured? How we'll spend the 2-hour blocks of time that we've identified?
Yes, thank you for asking. So I'm going to give you my feedback. And I believe this is what we've been talking about based in the caucus with caucus staff and redistricting staff based on the comments of the commissioners. So my understanding is that we are going to begin with a short video, that kind of 2 to 3 minute video that's really just explains the process of giving public comment or testimony. And I will probably have some kind of an introductory comment welcoming people, calling the meeting to order. And then that as much time as possible, as close to 2 hours as we can possibly get it, so probably 1 hour and 50 minutes, will just be spent listening to public comment. So we will then take that public comment and try and, we're going to track that data as well as we can and give it to you, voting commissioners, in the way that we feel is going to be the most accessible to you. So as we start to do that, we're going to work on multiple ways, I know, but that's really it. Our plan is for these meetings to be primarily for public comment.
That's great. Are we imagining 3 minutes per person for the public comment too, or has there been a conversation about that?
Yes, and the conversation right now is that it depends on how many people sign up. So it could, I think we are thinking that we would go down to 1 minute if we had to. I know that's not very satisfying, but we want to give as many people as possible the opportunity to speak. And so they can always submit a full statement in addition to that minute, or they could go up to 3 minutes. Keep in mind, we will remind the public that this meeting that's either in May or June is not their final opportunity. We will hold additional meetings we haven't scheduled yet in their congressional district in July and August.
Thank you. That's helpful to know.
You bet. And it's not set in stone, Commissioner Sims. This is what we've been planning based on what we've heard from you. Okay, we would also like to go over now the planned language policy. And Lisa, I wonder if you'd be willing to give an overview.
Sure. So based on the input that you have given us beforehand and also our own research that you've urged us to do, as of next week, we are going to be offering all meetings, including meetings like this, in ASL and American Sign Language and in Spanish automatically. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make an advertisement of the fact that if you let us know by midday on Wednesday for any other language, we will try our best to accommodate that. So the company that we're working with says that they need 72 hours to line somebody up. They'd like that. And so I guess in some cases there might even be a difficulty because of the simultaneous, we need to get at least 3 people signed up. We need to get 3 interpreters to be able to manage the simultaneous. But we will put an advertisement, on the website saying that, give us by midday on Wednesday what you need, and we will look at that. And we want to. Part of the thing we're working with Danielle from August Creative about is to sort of what information should we ask for from that person, so that maybe we can get in touch with them, so that maybe we can let them know, I'm sorry, thank you very much, we're unable to accommodate your request, but work with them to try to figure out. But we think that we can probably, for the top languages, we think we can get it. I think we could maybe run into more difficulty if it was lower, less familiar languages, let's say, Hmong or something like that. The other thing we did as a team was the team looked into all the congressional districts, went and talked to the congressional districts. and asked, what are the top languages? And we were, in terms of this ASL Spanish, it basically every single district, congressional district, the top language by far is Spanish. And it's only in actually District 9, Congressional District 9 for Adam Smith, where you actually have additional languages that go above 2% in terms of population. So most of the other, you might get Korean up to about 1.8 in some of the congressional districts, or Chinese up to that level, but it doesn't really go above 2%, except in that one district where there's, I think it's Korean and Chinese, there's several that go above. So we do think that we might get some requests for Chinese, Korean, but we'll be able to accommodate those, and we'll make the offer to do that. And just ask people to let us know. The other thing that we now have a schedule, we can actually publish that schedule. Well, it's already out actually now. So we can publish that schedule and start, if somebody wants to look ahead, I'd like to testify on June 19th. If they'd let us know, and that language we're going to form is going to be some sort of let us know as soon as possible, so that we can encourage, if they let us know now, we can definitely find interpreters, the necessary interpreters by June 19th, let's say.
Thank you, Lisa. And so I'm asking now for comments or questions, input. Commissioner Fain?
No, I appreciate the good work, and I'm glad that we've got a plan forward. And I know that it's complex trying to make decisions about which ones and when, but I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Commissioner Sims?
Yeah, I appreciate the thoughtfulness, and love that folks can request an interpreter in their language. And I'm really curious to see what kind of data we were able to pool based on those requests. So I'm happy with the thoughtfulness. Thank you.
Terrific. Commissioner Graves?
I agree, nothing to add.
Thank you. Okay, we would also like to hear your input about the stakeholder list that we shared with you last week. So as you know, we've created as comprehensive a stakeholder list as we possibly can. And the reason that we want to engage you in that is we want to be sure that we are reaching out to as many private, public organizations as we can, to include as many people as we can in providing public comment. So I wanted to just ask if you've had a chance to review that, if there are additions that you would like to make, if you have comments about the direction we're going, I would just like to give you the opportunity to give us feedback about that now. So let's begin with Commissioner Sims.
Sorry, I'm reviewing it again. There's a lot of really good data in here. I love the idea of, all of us putting our heads together and compiling all the different stakeholders and community groups that have an interest in this work. I think, that maybe we might want to include more LGBTQ organizations. I didn't see a lot of representation here. And then, obviously labor needs to be filled in a little bit more. I think I could probably help with that. And then, maybe one idea would be to make a list of universities and community and technical colleges, especially if we want to, use this as a tool to engage more young people. But overall, I love the idea of, putting our heads together and coming up with a comprehensive list.
Thank you, Commissioner Sims. And our intention is to create a list specific to each congressional district as we go along. But we wanted to start with just the big list, so that you could get a sense of the direction that we're headed. Commissioner Graves.
I thought it was a really good start on this project. I had just a couple of things that jumped out. One was that for political parties, we have Republicans and Democrats. It might be worth also letting the Libertarians and others know that they can take advantage of this stuff. And then I just thought more generally, I assume that we're going to also be having things like on our website or things available for groups that aren't listed on there, but that want to spread the word to their members that, we welcome and invite any group that considers itself a community of interest to spread the word. And then if they want to show up at public hearings and explain their case.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Commissioner Graves. Finally, Commissioner Fain.
Yeah, it's a great start on the list. I'm still reviewing it right now to see if there's some glaring omissions. I appreciate Commissioner Graves catching on the minor parties. I think that's important to make sure that they're included. And I think there are other, local service organizations and things like that what we talked to before that we can make sure we get included on there. But great start.
Thank you. I also want to say that this is not your final chance. We're at the beginning of compiling this list. So as thoughts come to you, please feel free to reach out to us, myself, and or our redistricting commission staff, and we will do our best. We do take our mandate seriously to be as open and provide as much access as we possibly can. And it's wonderful to be part of the bipartisan commission where we have talented and well-connected commissioners who can help to make sure that we have the most input that we've ever had. So thank you. I'd like to now return to the item about our mapping tool. And so I'd like to introduce Tom Jensen, who's going to walk you through the discussion around the mapping tool.
Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to share with you the web-based tools for citizen input. The solutions that we're going to review tonight are very similar solutions. They are based on Esri technology. I think they're both very solid options for the public input. So we've put together a brief overview, a little PowerPoint presentation to highlight some of the different packages that we're considering. Next slide.
Tom, is this working? Oh, okay. Is this working? Are you seeing?
I'm seeing it, yes.
Yeah, okay, okay. So next slide.
Next slide, yes.
Yeah.
So the goal was to identify a web tool to support citizen input. And so from the public perspective, we wanted the public to enable the public to be able to drop a comment on a map and to be able to draw and submit a community of interest. And then from the perspective of commissioners, we wanted them to be able to quickly review these comments and have access to the comments, and for the commissioners to be able to have access and review of community of interest maps. So, next slide. So like everything else this year, redistricting is going to be a challenge because of the pandemic. Ordinarily, we would have had information available, the census data available April 1st. This year, it's going to be released August 16th. Next slide. So you've heard the term legacy format. That is the format of the data that was used in 2010. It's the format that we will have available to us August 16th. It is the 2020 census data. The information will take about a week to load and to validate. And once that happens, we will need to make adjustments to that data. In 2000, Senate Bill 5287 was passed in 2019, requiring adjustment for to move previous or to make adjustments for inmates involuntarily committed and persons in juvenile justice facilities. it requires to move these folks to their previous known address. So they would be taken out of where a deduction would be made from where the facility is located, what district that's in, and then they would be added to the district that they previously lived in. These are not huge numbers. We've been in touch and we're working on this already. We've been in touch with Department of Corrections, which there's approximately a little over 17,000 inmates that will need to be moved. Within DSHS, those folks that are involuntarily committed, there's just over 400. And children, youth, and family, there's about 650 people that will need to be moved to their previous address. So it's a total of a little over 18,000 adjustments we will need to be able to make to the data. Next slide. So data currently available. Right now, 2010 geographies with 2000 census data, that is the default for the web tools. Some other states are also using a combination of the 2010 geography and the American Census Survey 5-year average. And some are using 2020 geography and the American Census Survey 5-year average. So we probably should talk a little bit about the American Community Survey and what that is. So it's based on former census long form questionnaire administered to over 3 million households nationwide and up to 70,000 households in Washington. Most statisticians refer to the demographic data for sex, race, demographic information. It's a 5-year average, and it uses 2017 as the midpoint for that information. So it is an estimate, and it's based on a fairly small sample size. So the 2009 ACS compared with the final 2010 census results resulted in differences within districts from plus 14% to a negative 11%. Also, this data is just at the block group level as opposed to the block level. So conclusions and recommendations on addressing the challenges. We really are not able to draw reliable maps until we have the 2020 census data, which is released August 16th. So in the meantime, our recommendation is we make a web mapping tool available to citizens. This will allow the commission to begin collecting citizen comments, begin receiving communities of interest information, and begin informing commissioners regarding areas of most interest. Some of the considerations we took into account when we were looking at the different packages. Commission has selected Citygate's Autobound as its redistricting software. So commissioners and commission staff already have the Citygate Autobound desktop tool and are using that right now. Citizens web-based web tools should allow for easy exchange of comments and communities of interest with the commission's desktop redistricting tool. I might mention that the Citygate's, in that first bullet, the Citygate's Autobound redistricting software was also used in 2010, and it's currently being used by over 30 states, so it's pretty widely used. It's important that the tools be compatible with open source redistricting tools. to allow for imports of open source plans. So like Dave's Redistricting and some of those free online tools. We need to be able to allow citizens to comment on proposed commission plans. So as each of the commissioners develop their plan and want to put it out for public comment, they should be able to do that right from their desktop tool, make it available, and provide it to the public so that the public can comment on the proposed plans. And another important feature is to provide citizens online tutorials so they know how to use the tools, and to provide a hotline support. The three different options that we have here is the Citygate web-based citizen redistricting tool that complements the tool that's already being used by the commission themselves. Esri Redistricting, which has many of the same features as the Citygate tool, and then free open source tools like Dave's Redistricting, District R, and representative.org. So the Citygate web-based citizen redistricting has been designed for citizens. It provides the ability to provide comments, community of interest, and seemingly shared with commission. So as citizens make comments or plans available, commissioners and commission staff can see those instantly from their desktop. There's no transfer, there's no import, export, it's available. These tools are linked together. Ability to comment on proposed commission plans. It has that, it has online tutorials, and it has a hotline. So commission, as I mentioned, commission can easily share their plans with citizens. So as you develop your proposed plans, you can make them available to the public and immediately begin receiving comments on those plans. The main difference between free tools and tools that you pay for is that ones you pay for are a bit more complex. They handle multiple levels of geography, which is required for building statewide maps. It allows you to build districts at different levels of geography, and it keeps track of that and brings it all together so that things stay in sync. Next slide. Esri Redistricting. As I mentioned, they have similar capabilities. They're based on the same foundation of the Esri tools. They're designed for citizens. They provide the ability to submit comments and draw communities of interest. They have the ability to comment on proposed commission plans. They do provide training. We have a 2-hour training, which is going to be way too long for public. We need to shorten that to 5 minutes. And then we have the potential for shorter tutorials. Plans and comments submitted for citizens need to be exported and imported into commission city staff desktop software. This is one of the main differences with the Citygate software. There's actually you're going to need a plan manager that takes information from the public website and makes that available. So it'll do an export and then an import into the desktop tools for the commission. Likewise, when the commission develops their plans and want public comment, again, it will have to be, there'll be a transition from the desktop tool to the web tool, but it'll probably require a plan manager to do that. Next slide. So free open source tools, they're easy to use. Organizations are already using these tools. It allows output to shapefiles for import into desktop tools. The thing it does not do, it does not handle multiple levels of geography. It's great for public input and feedback to the commission, but not necessarily for building statewide plans. So the obvious question is, why pay for a service versus a free online mapping tool? There's a couple different reasons. For one, the seamless integration with commission's districting building software, so they can send and receive plans. They can receive plans and comments from the public, but then commissioners can easily submit plans for comment back. Technical support. We would, if we went with one of the paid services, we would get technical support. We'd be able to load additional data. We need to be, probably will need some assistance in loading the group quarter data, and these services or these software companies can help us do that. They provide a public hotline so that if the public does run into problems, and from what we hear, they don't have many problems. It's usually users forgetting their password or their ID, or just needing help getting back into the system so they can continue to work on a map. And it also gives us the ability to customize the software should we have a need to do that. They are willing to customize it to Washington's specific needs. So as far as cost, this is the cost of the web-based tool provided by Citygate. It's $30,000 for the license. It's $19,500 for, that includes the installation, technical support, public hotline, and consulting service to customize the application if needed. There would be a $2,000 per month hosting fee if we have Citygate host the software. If we would like Ledge Tech to host the software, it would be $100 per month. As far as Esri's costs, we just received a 20-page proposal a few minutes before this meeting. So we have not had an opportunity to go through that and really evaluate what the costs are there. And we will need to do that soon. So with that,
Thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate you sharing that with us. And so I want to begin with Commissioner Finn. Comments, questions, input.
Well, a incredibly thorough job, as I would always expect from you, Tom. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for the presentation. I guess the questions that I have, and I'll be interested in what the other commissioners think in terms of cost benefit. Did you have any data from comparable states that have employed this on their website and what kind of traffic they've seen? Maybe you went over that, but I didn't know if you had any idea there.
We did talk with that. When we were talking to the Esri folks, they said on their web tool there, web-based tool there, I think it was Illinois, they had like 300 different plans submitted. And of those, 250 or so actually met the criteria for submitting the maps. They have to be within certain criteria as far as distributing populations and that type of thing. So, and they also found that, that the public was pretty comfortable with the tools and in submitting the plans. So, but we can find out more on that too.
Yeah, and then in terms of, and you talked about it there briefly, have you played around with all these different tools? Is there one that stands out as being particularly more user-friendly?
We've seen demos of both the Esri and Citygate products. To me, they are very straightforward. It doesn't take a lot of technical skills to use it. I think some training would be helpful. I think the ability to have technical support on the application so that if you have questions, I would hope that on Lisa's staff, we would be able to hire a GIS expert to help with handling the data, managing the plans, and providing technical support to commissioners and commission staff.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Commissioner Fain. Next, Commissioner Sims.
Well, it was a great presentation, so thank you for the report. I think I have a little bit of sticker shock, and I'm curious to see what the other company comes back with in terms of cost, but I do recognize that there's a significant travel budget that we won't be spending, at least in the short term, or at least in the foreseeable future, in terms of in-person redistricting meetings. So I think, my inclination is to go with whatever software or program is most compatible with the system we're using now. And I really do like that the Gateway program includes some tech support or a dedicated person that would help the general public kind of troubleshoot as they're working with the software. So I'm just curious to see what the other proposal looks like so that we can make a decision soon.
Good.
Thank you, Commissioner Sims. Commissioner Graves.
Thanks for the presentation, Tom. That $30,000 license, that's for the Esri for the Autobound, is that right?
Yes.
And we already have access to that on the commission here. Is that in addition to what we're already using?
Yes, this is for the public facing software piece of it. So it's separate from the desktop.
Do you know what our license we're paying for the commission staff's use of?
I don't. I think the caucus staff paid for those.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
30 grand's a lot of money. But this might be one of those things that, I don't know. I think people would actually like it. It could be actually a really cool thing for like high school students to do. I don't know. If we want to put a chunk of our budget there, I probably won't get too upset about it, but that just seems like a substantial amount of money.
I just want to clarify for the minutes. I think you were talking, Commissioner Graves, about the My Districting tool offered by Citygate Autobound. I think that's what you were talking about. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's different than Esri, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's an Esri partner.
But just to be clear, we're looking at two different ones. One is Esri and the other one is Citygate Autobound.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Any additional comments or questions at this time? Okay, I don't see any. I wanted to say that our intention is to bring this before the commission at our next meeting, which will be next Monday, for you to make a decision. So between now and then, my ambition is for us to be able to review, maybe staff to review the proposal that was sent to us by Esri, so that we can send you by email what that will look like. And we'll give you the materials that we can to help you evaluate further which of these tools you'll want to consider having on our website. Thank you, Tom. We appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
At this point, I'd like to transition to the public comment portion of our agenda. I would like to invite members of the public who have signed up to provide comment tonight. Each person giving public comment will have 2 minutes to speak. And so your 2 minutes will be indicated by a counter that is visible on your screen. Our web tech, Sean Murray, will be here to facilitate this evening, and he will call your name when it's your turn to provide public comment. And when your name is called, your status in the meeting will change, and you will be visible to members of the commission. We recognize that 2 minutes is perhaps not long enough for you to share all that you had hoped to share with the commission this evening. And so we encourage you to submit a written statement if you wish to the email address that's indicated on our website to augment what you have to say in person. So as your name is called and you show up on our screen, please do stay on the Zoom call during the transition. It can be a little disorienting. You'll see your status change in Zoom. Please don't hang up. And that can be a little disorienting. All right.
Good evening, Commissioners. Today we had 9 individuals sign up, including Senator Perry Dozier. 7 of those individuals have actually made it to the meeting, and so we're going to have the first panel being Senator Perry Dozier and Chris Petzled. If you don't mind turning on your videos and unmuting, and we can start your testimony. Thank you. Senator Dozier, we'll start with you, if you don't mind.
Welcome, Senator.
Senator Dozier may be experiencing technical difficulties getting his video on as we work through that. Chris, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you.
Chris.
Thank you. My name is Chris Petzled, and I just want to say thank you to the commission for your hard work. This is a really big responsibility. I live in Issaquah, Washington, and I wanted to come in tonight to say that I have a concern about the fact that one of the commissioners, Joe Fain, has a sexual assault allegation pending against him. This is such an important function, this redistricting, an important thing for our state and our country. And I don't think it's acceptable for someone with this type of allegation hanging over them to hold positions of public trust. I'm calling on the Commissioner Fain to resign. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your input. Next, is the senator now available to comment?
If not, we will see if we can work through those issues, and we will bring up the next panel.
Great.
We will start with Melissa Taylor. We had Jan Robinson and Linda Rolland. I do not see Jan Robinson in the meeting anymore. So we will start with Melissa Taylor. If you do not mind unmuting and beginning your testimony. Thank you.
Welcome, Melissa.
Hi, thank you. My name is Melissa Taylor. I'm a Seattle resident and a sexual assault survivor and advocate. I previously requested that you provide a venue by which survivors can fully participate in this process without the requirement to share space with an alleged rapist. Please make sure this is included in your public outreach and engagement plans. As background for why this is so important to me, in 2015, we enrolled our daughter in public schools and became aware of the severe educational funding crisis. The Senate listening tour in Renton was my first public testimony, followed by drives to Olympia with other parents, which led me to study the district map as I built relationships across the state, which in turn highlighted the number of legislative district configurations that made organizing with community groups harder. I developed a deep interest in the upcoming census and redistricting efforts and began advocating at the city, county, and state level for census funding starting in 2017. I pushed jurisdictions to prepare the data needed for the master address file submission and to register as LUCA partners, so we'd have more insight and input. I even held a redistricting themed birthday last fall with 50 friends to talk about what happened in 2011 and what to expect in 2021. I was so excited for the commissioner selection and the start of this process until I found out a man with a credible rape allegation against him had been appointed. That news made my stomach drop and then churn, trying to decide whether and how I could still be involved. It is not possible for me to engage as I had hoped because I cannot address any of my other questions and concerns without also addressing the appalling decision by Senator Braun to say that an alleged rapist was his best choice for this position, as if the credible reporting on rape in someone's background is not disqualifying. Commissioner Fain, you opted out of the 2018 investigation where you could have refuted these allegations. You should resign this position. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Sean, who's next?
Next, we have Melissa Taylor.
Welcome, Melissa.
Did you not just get my testimony?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Linda Rolland. My apologies.
Let's start video. Let's see. I think
Welcome, Linda. We're
thank
glad
you.
you're here. Please begin.
Thank you. I just have it's really a comment or a question, rather, maybe a comment as well. But I live in the community of Trout Lake, Washington, which is in Klickitat County. And my community in my county is one of those places that is split legislatively district. We are in legislative district 14, congressional district. We are in congressional district 3. Half of our legislative district is in CD3 and half of our legislative district is in CD4. So as I've been working with groups of folks, I'm involved with the League of Women Voters and some other organizations, but as we've been working together to talk about our communities of interest and the things that are important to us and trying to craft testimony, we're now wondering, is it smart for us to join together and testify with the CD4 group or with the CD3 group, or are we splitting ourselves both ways even though we have worked together? So that's kind of my question and comment, if that could be made clearer to those of us that are working towards testimony as to the best approach for us to move forward.
Thank you. So I want to offer so we have some time here. I'd like to offer the commissioners an opportunity to comment on that if anyone has a comment. I do, if no one else does. Okay, so it was difficult, Linda, to determine how we could come up with a proportional way of creating communities across the state. So we went with congressional districts. That being said, you know, I want to say that I have faith in you, Linda, and your community's ability to determine how best you want to use your time within the 2 congressional districts in which you find yourselves. I do want to say that sometimes people would like to just have as many minutes as they can saying the same thing. That's not always the most effective. Sometimes what you can do is say, I'm speaking on behalf of this many people with a signature page that shows us how many people you're speaking on behalf of, so we can give as many people an opportunity to talk about diverse interests as possible. So that's just off the cuff feedback. We're glad you're here. Thank you, Linda, for sharing with us this evening.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And next we will go on to Brian Hess, if you don't mind starting your testimony. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. I appreciate you having these meetings and allowing public testimony going on now while you're still doing the process of starting everything, getting everything together. One of the items, a few things I want to discuss is because you're going to be talking about the websites today. I went in, I looked at them. For whoever is running your websites, your Facebook hasn't been updated since 2012. I didn't know if maybe some way you can utilize that. People do utilize that to help share information. That way we can get more community involvement. Also, the website itself, I'm wondering, why is it unsecure? It's an unsecure website. I'm not sure why it's not made into a secure website so that people can feel secure when they are accessing it and having that information. Then listening to your meeting today, kind of curious on why computers are coming from China instead of being ones built here in America and locally or something like that. We do have issues. And the only reason I bring that up is because having worked security for 25 years with the military, there is that issue. They have been known to put malware into systems. And so hopefully there is a process to make sure that that does not happen with these systems. And the last thing is is listening to the briefing on the Esri and the other mapping tools. I really appreciate that. One of the questions I had was, I heard the $30,000 price tag. I was wondering, one of the ways to kind of lower that price tag, if possible, is instead of having a big general license that allows thousands of people access, you can limit it and then have people sign up to be able to gain access to be able to do things with it. And that's all I have to say. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you taking the time to share with us this evening.
Excellent. And then our last testifier of the night will be Jeffrey Olsen. You can begin your testimony.
Welcome, Jeffrey. It's good to see you.
Yeah, but the surprise is I will no longer talk about Spokane. I just type in Google search of draw your WA, and it has no links to anything related to that. It needs to be linked so people who see draw you can link to the site and all that. I also emphasize the school districts, and that's about it. I would like better access from the website.
Great. Thank you, sir. And I want to just explain to you that right now we're in the process of finalizing our new website. So it's not live yet. The commissioners are still working on making sure that they've reviewed it and have had enough input. Perhaps you've seen our contractor, Danielle, who's been presenting over the last couple of meetings from August Designs. And she has been helping us to build that website. So the reason you can't access it is because it's simply not live yet. Our ambition is to have that ready within another week or two. And then all of the things you've been hearing about, including the schedule, will be available on the new website. So the website from the last commission is still open and active, but soon that will be archived on the new website for this commission.
One other point. There is no public interest expressed in the media and the press about this upcoming 5th District Zoom meeting. There should be more, the press and the media should be out there more, alerting people of it.
Great, thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time to spend this time with us. And thank you, Jeffrey, for just for taking the time to share on behalf of your community and just as a resident here in Washington. We appreciate that.
Okay.
Excellent. And we're going to try one last time if Senator Dozier is able to turn on his video for public testimony. If not, that will be the end of public testimony. Senator Dozier, are you able to turn on your video and audio? I'm going to take that as a no. We've kept trying to turn that on for him. It's not working. So that will be the end of public testimony, Chair.
I apologize, Senator. We look forward to seeing you at a future meeting. With that, I would like to call this meeting to a close. Thank you to members of the public, to our staff, to the caucus staff for providing the labor that has made this meeting possible. I would also like to thank our presenters, including Tom Jensen and Danielle from August Creative. And once again, to the public, we appreciate your input. I also want to sincerely thank the commissioners for spending the time week after week to be present in this role.